Welcome back to another episode of Meredyth with a Y. I am your host, Meredyth Willits, and today I'm going to be talking about the Great Awakening and what exactly that means as a collective and for you individually. So I hope you stay with me. Hello, everyone. This is Meredyth with a Y, and I am your host, Meredyth Willits. Today we are going to go deep, changing lives, and I am giving you the keys to the castle. Hello, and welcome back to Meredyth with a Y. I called this the Great Awakening because there really is no other name for it. What we are going through, we are all being woken up every single minute of the day with new news, new information, new feelings internally as an individual, both, but also as a collective. And hearing things that we never imagined could possibly be happening in our lifetime. It's dizzying, and it's dizzying for a reason. I find it fascinating how it feels every day like I'm walking through kind of this wall of jello, and I have to regroup and recollect myself and figure out where my feet are underneath me. And if you are paying attention to what is going on, I just watched a video right before this talking about how Germany is now saying that the United States is not a safe place to visit, and countries aren't shipping things here. And Canada says that our education system is so far behind that it's not necessarily safe to come to the United States based on our healthcare system right now, and all the things that our government and this administration is putting out with regard to basically everything. The fact that they're changing what you can spray food with chemical wise, and they're not, talking about, um, you know, food that's hurting or killing or making people sick as a, governmental agency. It feels very dystopian at the very least. And no matter what side of the aisle you are on, you cannot help but recognize how surreal everything feels right now. And that we never thought that we would hear anything like this. At least I didn't. I had such a hard time coming to grips with this. And I think the thing that's very bizarre is this whole Pizzagate thing, and how, now it's coming out that Q from QAnon may have well been Jeffrey Epstein, from what we're finding out. And that, he had been studying, groupthink and all of these things at Harvard and with all these scientists, and how if they pitted us against each other, they could move much more easily because they said, oh, they're doing it. Oh, they're doing it. And here we find out this whole time that they're kind of all doing it, right? We were all fighting each other while they were all doing this huge master plan of chaos. And I think that we're all trying to figure out why, right? Why is this all happening? How much money and power do people need? And I woke up this morning thinking about someone that I know, and it was weird. It just like popped into my head. And I remember this person telling me that, everyone's doing it, and everyone just sleeps with each other. And I just remember feeling so weird about that statement. Like, what? What do you mean everyone's sleeping together? At your age, you're not in college anymore. And the circle that this person runs in, they're very, very wealthy, like extreme wealth, like profound wealth. And it just hit me this morning, and it's just like, are you that bored? Are you guys that bored in life that this is the end all be all, is just doing whatever you want? And that reminds me of like that scene in Pinocchio when they went to that island or land or wherever they were, and they all turned into jackasses because they were all smoking and drinking and gambling. And it's just like, it feels like our entire world is coming to this crescendo of realization that we've been watching all of these things in movies for decades. And now finding out that Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was in charge of all of our school books. And now finding out that Life Touch, the people that took our photographs since we were small children, they've had that information for decades. Decades. They've been chronicling all of us children, our names, our addresses, who we are and what we look like, and our children same. And that's dizzying. That's so hard to comprehend, that our very textbooks that we were taught from is coming from such a perverted person and such a perverted way of teaching all American children. It's too much. It's too much to comprehend, that we have been like living, taught all of these lies, all of this programming, which I've talked about programming here. I wrote a book on it for so long, but never truly understood the extent of it. And now that I really have been diving deep into Christianity and Judaism and the Bible, recognizing how much information was taken out of that book about women and about freedom and about, turning inward to self for empowerment and for truth. And this book that they've been peddling, known as the Bible, is so incredibly one-sided, so incredibly perverted to put men in charge and allow and make sense of slavery, make sense of cruelty, make sense of people having dominion over others. And I just look at this and I'm like, my whole life has been sort of a lie. And so has yours. Believing that the people that run our countries want the best for us is a lie. The people that are in charge of companies want the best for us is a lie. The people that have been making books for us to learn about things is a lie. That's dizzying. And all of a sudden, we have stepped into this age of Aquarius where truth will be revealed. And it's like, damn, really? All of it? All of it's a lie? Religion's a lie? Our school books are liars? The people that own companies are liars? The administrations have been liars? Because we need to actually look, instead of at just today, we need to look at the ramping up to today. This information about Epstein and that circle, that ring, has been going on for decades, that the Department of Justice has known about. They've had these videos for decades and nothing was done. And so I blame all of them. All of them. They've known about this. And they hid it and they kept it quiet. And they did nothing. They did nothing. They all covered it up for each other. And that's just such an incredible gut punch. If any other person had been accused of even 100th of these crimes, they would be in prison. I think of the woman who used her SNAP benefits to bake cookies and sell them. And I think she was facing 10 years in prison. But yet we have known predators walking amongst us and nothing is being done because they're so afraid that that person will point fingers. I mean, we need to look at the fact that What Puff Daddy was doing, Sean Combs was doing, is exactly the same bullshit in just a different arena as this administration. There is no difference. It was blackmail. It was all these things. All of these things was to collect data, collect blackmail, and then be able to run the world and not get in trouble. And they're all connected. I just saw a video the other day talking about, George Bush Sr. and how he was in Skull and Bones and all this other stuff. I mean, this stuff has been going on for decades. These people have been making complaints, and there's so many people in my comment section of the videos that I'm making about what's going on, and they're like, this was just a phone call in to the FBI talking about what happened to them, these women that were reporting these abuses across decades, across states, across the world. And they all have the same story. I mean, you could go in one community and not get the same story. And then people are like, so if somebody said something about you, Meredyth, do you want them to prosecute you? Yeah, absolutely. Especially if there's hundreds of people saying something about me. Hundreds. What we're seeing right now is an awakening. People are waking up to what is going on in the world. All of them. We need to get out of the pointing of fingers. I have literally made videos about Clinton, and I have made videos about Trump, and every single time the people that I make a video about Clinton, they say, yep, arrest every single one of them. I don't care who it is. Put him in jail and prosecute. I make a video about Trump, and all I hear is, but Biden, but Obama, but Clinton. You should not care. You should not care. You should not be so aligned. You should not be such a sycophant. I think that's the right word. That when you hear the word Trump, you shut down, that you just stop moving. You need to wake up. You have to wake up. You have to wake up and see what is going on out in the world with the people that have been running our country for decades and what they have been doing. What they've been doing. What they're doing to us. I watched this video the other day of this guy. He's so fantastic. He talks a million miles an hour, but he's such a good brain. I wish I could think of him right now. If I come up with it, I'll put it in the show notes. He's a black guy, and he just rants in the most beautifully eloquent way. And yesterday I watched a video of his, and he said, we can't fight the system. It's there to absorb us. We can't fight the administration. It's there to we just bounce off of it. It doesn't care about us. We can't fight the corporations because they'll find someone else. We can't stop spending money because people need their insulin. We can't stop. And at the end of the video, he just grabs his head and he says, the only thing we can do is isolate ourselves so that it doesn't bother us. And it broke my heart because it looked like he was giving up. It looked like he felt so helpless and hopeless that he couldn't fight anymore because the system is so incredibly powerful and so incredibly big that is literally created and formed so that we lose. So that we lose. And that just broke my heart. When I started feeling a couple weeks ago, wow, this is what people of color have felt for hundreds of years in this country. They have felt like the system was too powerful, like the system was rigged against them, that no matter what they say or how good they are or how bad they are or how smart they are, that there's still going to be this ceiling that is bigger than them. And I kind of feel like that right now, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing for people to comprehend what it feels like to feel helpless, so that we understand what we have been doing to communities for hundreds of years. But I want to live in that house. Sorry. But I want to get that job. Sorry. I just watched yesterday or saw some information that this woman who I believe she received the Purple Heart in combat, and she was getting ready to be promoted to like admiral or something in the military. This is going on, I believe, right now. And they wouldn't promote her because Pete Hegseth does not want women in leadership positions in the military. And I imagined being that woman getting that information, that because she's a woman, no matter what she does, that she can't get the job that she's earned. And what it felt like in her gut to go home and know that she is powerless to that. Powerless. Because a man says, I don't want women in leadership positions in the military, that there's nothing that she can do to change that in her world. What a horrible feeling that would be. And the only thing I can think about is people of color have experienced that for years. That if you were a slave, no matter how smart you are, no matter how capable you are, that you were destined to live under the rule of someone that said no. We've seen it. We've seen it in movies. All the the Native American people that helped decode during, I believe it was World War I or World War II, to get no credit. All the inventors, all the Black inventors that didn't get the credit. All the women who are so incredibly brilliant, who either don't get credit, don't get equal pay, don't get the promotion, to feel so incredibly helpless. And we need to recognize that that's what the civil rights movement was about also, was to make sure that people had equal ability to get jobs. And now we sit here and watch in 2026 a woman who was supposed to be moved up in ranks in our United States military to be told, no, we don't want women in leadership positions in the military, is disgraceful. How did we get here? And how the hell do we get out of here? There's been many days that I've woken up and said, you know what? There's nothing I can do. So I will just handle my business. I will just work every day to ensure that I can handle my life, and that, you know, just like that Black guy yesterday, just be yourself. It's too big. It's too powerful. We can't win. There's nothing we can do. And to that, I say, no, that's not the case. There's too many of us. And I don't know what that looks like. It sure the hell isn't a one-day strike. It sure the hell isn't one day of not going to school. It sure the hell isn't only protests. It sure the hell isn't being silent. It has to be everything. And I fear, based on what happened recently in Georgia with the federal government going in and taking all of the voter information out of Georgia and wanting to nationalize certain states, voters, uh, ballots and whatnot. They want to take that over. I'm sure the midterms are going to be perfectly okay. They've already said that we're not going to have, if they know if we get to vote, in the United States of America, if we get to vote in the midterms, they know they're going to go to prison. Steve Bannon stood on stage saying it. He's everywhere in the files. There's a link in my bio to the files, if anyone wants to look at them themselves and hadn't have a chance. Very easy to search certain names, whatever you want to search, just scrolling through them. I highly recommend, if you have the mental health capacity of looking through them, to do so, because you need to be informed as to what the leaders of this country, both in business and in government, have been doing and have been getting away with, because it's devastating. It's devastating. And to put your head in the sand and say, no, it wasn't this one or that one. You're just choosing to be ignorant based on the pure desire of your ego attachment to who you voted for being your entire personality. Your entire personality. It's okay if you were wrong. I have people in my life whom I love very much who are stating, as they say, 10 toes down on Trump being a good guy and this administration is doing everything right and that ICE is exactly doing what they should be doing. And yet every single day I read a news story of ICE hurting yet another person, separating families, separating children, leaving infants at home with teenage siblings to care for a 3-month-old, broken ribs. And every single time is, they should have complied. They should have self-deported. I just read something that we are now missing 1,200 people from the detention center in Florida, Alligator Alcatraz, as they were calling it. 1,200 people are completely missing that was removed from that detention center. Their lawyers can't find them. Their family can't find them. 1,200 people gone. Where are they? This isn't working. We're being run by people who have absolutely no scruples, no ethics, no morals. I remember 3 months, and I've talked about this before, 3 months before Trump was elected in 2016, I ran outside to my husband because I had just got a channeled message that said, he has to win. And I was like, what? Wait, what? What do you mean he has to win? I don't want him to win. He has to win. Why? And now we're seeing why. Because I don't think if Kamala Harris would have gotten in office, we would be seeing what we're seeing right now. I don't think we would have gotten here. I think it would have been brushed under the rug for another 4 years, because they know that if they, Kamala, the Democrats, would have brought all of this out, no one would have believed it. No one in the Trump camp would have believed what Kamala put out there. It would have been, these files are created. This is all AI. This is just a vengeance thing. The Democrats are just out to get Trump. He had to be in office for this to come out. He had to be there. This has to be the way that it is right now. There is no other way. He had to win. What we are seeing is perfect, energetic timing for it to be exactly the way it is right now. Nothing is out of order. Is it painful? God, yes. Is it annoying? Oh my God. But is it perfect? Yes. Because if this was coming out, this could be going on for another 100 years. Another 100 years. And we would still be in the dark. We wouldn't know about Life Touch school photographs. We wouldn't know about Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, owning the company that writes all of our damn school books. We wouldn't know that all of these people from, athletes and, team ownerships and Victoria's Secret's owner guy in Ohio and Israel, and we wouldn't know all these things. We have to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop looking at the divide, and we have to start coming together and recognizing it doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter about any of it. What matters is that you wake up and realize that the divide was crafted as a distraction, that they have done this, that they understand that if they put one group of people over here and one group of people over there, that eventually they will kill each other, that they will eat each other alive, that they will fight each other so strongly and so intensely that they can't see what's going on around them. You have to wake up to that. You have to ask yourself, is it more important for me to defend who I voted for? Or is it more important that we find out the truth, regardless of who's in the files? Is it more important that these women that have come forward, hundreds of people, hundreds of women and men that have come forward and said, this happened to me? Is that more important? Or is it who you voted for, who you've aligned yourself with, who you fought to the death for with your friends and family, that Trump is a great guy? The fact that you have never met this person but will defend him to the end of the earth is wild to me. You don't know that person. If you want to, how about you just look at his track record? Cheated on every wife he's ever had. Every wife. Cheated in all of his business deals. Every single one of them. Didn't pay people. Just look, if that person was out in the world, you would not hopefully be friends with them. But yet you will stand by his side and defend him to the end of the earth. It is crazy to me. I don't think that I would defend anyone to that degree. But somehow they have got you just coming and going. It is crazy. Wake up. Wake up. I keep seeing that in our future, we won't have a president anymore. We will have a group of 3 or 5 people acting as a presidential kind of group because of what we're seeing right now, with people just loving and adoring this one individual and listening and having so much consolidated power over people. It is a cult. We have created a cult formation of power in the United States. I look at it and I say, man, if I voted for somebody, I would hold their feet to the fire even more. Even more. I'd say, you said that food prices were down or would be down. You said you were going to do this and you didn't. I voted for you. You told me something. You lied. But they don't do that. It's too much of a cult, regardless, by having one single person have this much power. I don't see it going that way moving forward. It might, but I don't think it's healthy. People align themselves too much, be it a religion or a priest or a, or an athlete. These people are not here for you to worship, to put on a pedestal. They're humans. They take off their pants one leg at a time, just like you do. They are not to be reveled. They're not to be idolized. I'm taking this new class for healing. It's fascinating. Fascinating. It's called MAP, M-A-P. And one of the things that I learned the other day is you are the collection of all of your past. And so as a child, you start eating with a spoon. And the first time you miss your mouth, the second time you miss your mouth, the third time you hit your mouth. And so as you learn to eat as a child, you finally remember how to use a spoon and get it in your mouth. And now that becomes the fact that you are able to eat with a spoon. You walk to school every single day and you are the collective memory of how you get to school. You interact with people. You have a collective memory of what those interactions with people look like and feel like. And so you are the combination of all of your memories, be them toxic, be them healthy, be them happy. And because of the fact that we are human beings, for survival's sake, a lot of times we hold on to those negative memories so that we don't repeat them in the future. Makes sense, right? If all we do is look at a person's past to realize who they are right now, can people change? Yeah. But how much? Are they still doing it? Are they still acting that way? How much can a person change? What's their track record? If every time they say they're going to meet you at noon, they show up at 1:00, isn't it smart to realize that they're going to show up at 1:00? You have to look at a person's track record to see who they are. And if you don't do that, if you give them the benefit of the doubt to the point where you have wiped out and ignored everything that they've ever brought, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not using your full frontal lobe to make those decisions. We are inside of the greatest awakening I think that our planet has ever experienced. We are living inside of an active transition and transformation of recognizing that the leaders of the world do not have our best interest in mind, that they are using us as pawns, as worker bees to get what they want. period. They are using us as a resource of work. They are using us as a resource of energy. They are using us, period. And they don't care who lives or dies because they know they'll just make more. They don't care about aborting babies. They need more worker bees. They don't care if you live or die, or our healthcare system would make more sense. They don't care if you starve or are homeless, or there would be a minimum wage that was keeping up with inflation. I've seen the papers. I've seen the graphs, the charts that show that if minimum wage kept up with inflation, minimum wage would be around 50 or an hour. That's crazy. They don't have our best interest in mind. We have to figure out what our next step is. But the first step is to wake up. The first step is to realize that your neighbor is not your enemy. Your neighbor is just someone who has been programmed so profoundly. My grandpa, my dad tells me the story, and I've talked about it here before. My grandpa said, you know, it's not so much racism. It's just the easiest, cheapest way to say, well, you might be broke. You might be illiterate, but at least you're not Black. And it's the same that's going on right now between Democrats and Republicans and Trumplicans. You might be a lot of things, but you're not that thing over there. You're not as dumb and crazy as liberals. You're not as stupid and horrible as Trumplicans. They're doing it all over. They just picked a different thing. They just picked a different thing for us to hate each other. Can you imagine if we stopped doing that, how powerful we would be? I remember back at 9/11, everybody was carrying an American flag and everyone came together because they changed the enemy. They needed all of us to come together to fight a new enemy. And the crazy thing looking back now is it wasn't even the right enemy. It was George Bush Sr.'s enemy that had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. If you don't think that we are being programmed and weaponized and manipulated and controlled, you're nuts. Weapons of mass destruction? What? And we all fall for it. They just keep changing who they want to put our sights on. Let's fight the crazy liberals. Let's fight the crazy Trumplicans. Let's fight Saddam Hussein. Let's fight weapons of mass destruction. All the while, none of those people were the real targets. We're living in a dystopian creation of liars who benefit from us being distracted by everything they're pointing at. And we fall for it every single time. And it's up to us to decide to wake up and stop fighting each other and see who the real culprit is that's taking our healthcare, that's making us sicker, that's poisoning our food, that's killing children, that's taking all of our money to Israel for what reason and why we allow it, I don't know. People in my comments are like, we're getting closer to the second coming of Jesus. Look around. What? Really? Wake up, people. As soon as they point their finger at another group of people, you better remember that 3 fingers are pointing back at them. Everything that they say is a lie. It always has been, and it most likely always will be. It is the weirdest situation in the world. It's sad. It's depressing. It makes you feel hopeless. And every time you feel that way, if you're watching this or listening to this, I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to remember that the way that you feel in that moment, that the world is so big and so against you, and there's no way out of this. I want you to remember that that's how people of color have felt for hundreds of years. And if you can tap into that feeling, you're getting it. You're getting why we're here today, because we cannot move forward as long as some of us are stuck behind. It's either all or nothing. It's either we all get a chance, we all get to try out for the team, we all get to have an opportunity to do things in this world without a foot on our fucking heads, or none of us do. Feel into that feeling of hopelessness, because it's there for a reason. It's there to awaken you, to understand what racism has meant and felt like to people for hundreds of years, of having a ceiling on your head and you don't know how to get rid of it. That there is some power over you you cannot escape. Remember, when they point their sights at a group of people, it's not the place that you should be looking. And that is exactly the way that they want it. They want you to look over there, but there is no over there. There's no over there. It's only them. Happy Monday, whenever you're listening to this or watching it. This is the Great Awakening, my good friends. We are in it. We signed up for this. We are strong enough for this. But it's up to you. If you keep listening to the person that says, look over there, there's nothing to see behind the curtain, you need to remember that it's exactly behind the curtain that you should be looking. All right, if you know anyone that should take a listen to this episode, please send it to them if you have time. Run over to the podcast and leave a 5-star review and a written review if you have time. I really appreciate it. It helps the show grow. Share this with someone out there in the world that might need to hear it. I appreciate you guys for being here today. Thank you so very much, and have a great week. Bye. Thanks for listening. If you would like to connect on a more personal level, head over to meredythwillits.com or on Instagram at Meredyth with a Y for behind-the-scenes footage and outtakes. Please subscribe and come back each week for more Meredyth with a Y. Thanks again for listening. Cheers.